Mm-hmm. So this is my it's basically a storage room where I do all my fun stuff. And anyhow, to the reason I'm doing it this way with the question and answers and writing it down, and it's not so much a matter of internet access or anything like that, but more I really don't like the live streams. Yeah, it's like a glimpse into somebody's life a little bit too much, and kind of creeps me out a little bit. So I'd rather not partake in that. Anyhow, yeah, and I tend to mumble a lot, so uh, so I got a couple pages here. Got better part of 2 pages and an extra third. And I'll try to answer them. I didn't rehearse any of this really, and let's dive right in, I guess. But thanks for sticking around, and once again, thanks for Bigfoot for being the 100th subscriber. I've been dealing with those guys for a long time. The storage in this room is pretty much all of this came from Bigfoot. So you gotta have hobbies, so find a hobby. Anyhow, so Brian Marks commented, "Is square ground chain better than round?" Yeah, he says, "That's a loaded question with tons of variables, but for cutting big timber with powerful saws, it's worth buying a grinder." Square ground chain is arguably better than round. Um, you will cut faster. It just kicks butt on that end of it. But it is harder to sharpen. So you can use a file with it. It takes some practice. I used to use a file, but it takes a lot longer than a round file chain does. And at the time, I was still working 2 jobs, 3 jobs sometimes, and time is money. So as far as buying a grinder, um, once again, that's basically time is money. You can buy a round file grinder, you can buy a square grinder. The square grinder, I think the only one still in production right now is a Symington. They're over $1,000 new. If you can find a Sylvie, they're close to $1,000 used and maybe not working. Um, they're both pretty good grinders. Symington's what I have. If you have limited time and you're sharpening a lot of chains, then yeah, a grinder is the way to go. If you're running round file and you're in dirty wood, then just carry a file and do it in the woods. A lot of guys do it that way and they're happy doing it. Anyhow, so Eric Briggs is, what's your favorite saw you've run so far? The Sachs Dolmer 166. It's a 100 and some cc saw, big block saw. They only made them for a couple years. All the Sachs Dolmer saws are pretty high revving saws. But this one, the 166, has such a killer idle that it's just fun to let run. It sounds like an old hot rod. It's kind of cool. Anyhow, didn't have a brake on it though. At least when I ran, didn't have the handbrake. So but if you're running a 5-foot bar, you don't necessarily need a kickback brake. Jason Jimenez, not sure where you're from. So, tell us your 5 favorite tools. Getting started welding advice, and should I keep working for the men or buy equipment? Well, I'll answer the last one first. Buy equipment. Start a company. I fully support you in that. It's the dumbest and greatest thing I've ever done. And it's hard, it's tough, it's a pain in the ass, but it's worth every headache and all the stress is still less than working in a crappy factory or working for a boss who sucks, and it's changed my life. 5 favorite tools. I should have wrote this one down. Um, Crescent hammer, adjustable wrench for those of you who don't speak colloquialisms. A hammer. I kind of prefer a cross peen because I used to want to be a blacksmith. Uh, Channel locks, or actually vice grips. Vice grips are damn good. A good knife. Um, and let's see if we have one in my pocket. I probably do. Ow. Saw wrench. I like the double-ended ones, the small and the big. I think you got the 17 or 18 millimeter there. Wow, that's bent. But it also works as a 3/4. And you got a 13 on this side, which works as a 1/2 inch. You got a screwdriver. You got a pry bar. You got a weapon if you need it. It's also a great way to poke yourself in the side. I pretty much have a saw wrench in my pocket at just about every occasion. Yeah, crescent hammer, a hammer, vice grips, a good knife, a saw wrench. That's pretty good. As far as getting started welding, watch puddle. I'm not a great welder. I don't do it enough to be what I would consider a good welder. I can make a bead and I can make it flat and I can make a hold. Bars of being a straight weld, not so much. The biggest thing I learned was to be able to watch the puddle. Get whatever lens you need to get the darkness where it's you can see the arc, but you can also see the puddle. And then you watch the puddle and you watch where you're going. The rest is easy. The rest is just paying attention to the book and letting it, tell you what amps and all that fun stuff to set to, and you shouldn't have a problem. So Matt Bees, it's an interesting one. Did I work for a big company before you went off on your own? And what year was your first year? So it's not a big secret that I never worked for an actual logging company. My uncle, actually both my uncles on my mom's side, were doing a lot of clearing around our house in Darrington when I was like 11 or 12. And I pretty much got in the way enough they put me to work. And then we did some other stuff here and there. And up until I was about 14 or so. And then I found guitars. But right around that time is when the spotted owl thing happened. So logging sort of went out the window. So I went into machining and that kind of thing because it was working with metal. I like working with metal. And it was way out of Darrington. Because in Darrington there was nothing. The mill was down to, I think, one part-time shift. It's a big mill. And they were working 3 shifts a day, 7 days a week. And within overnight, the spotted owl, and also they had some union issues. All that went away. So no. And as far as the first year I went on my own, it's kind of complicated. So we went into business in 2013, but I'd been, Jippo logging before that in like 2008, 2009. Even as far back as like 2007, I was falling trees for people. I think the first load of logs we sent out was in 2011. No, it was before that even. Just an old clapped out Ford 9N. Don't do that. Basket case saw and a basket case tractor, and far less brains than I needed. As far as when I go full time, it's been 4 years now. It's 2022 now. So November 9th, 2018, I got fired from the last machine shop job. I didn't care. Anyhow, I was already working 4 days a week logging anyway, so the machine shop job was really just for healthcare that I never used. Burn and Brighter. So, favorite chain brand, mix oil. If you could have any new piece of equipment, what would you get? So, chain brand still, all the way still. I pretty much run square profile chip or square chisel and everything. Um, different sizes for different saws. But still, if I had my druthers, it'd be the Windsor Sandvik stuff that you can no longer get. I don't think I've seen a new Windsor chain in 10 years. I think Hot Sauce 101 has some bulk supply of that laying around somewhere that he's squirreled away, and he's a bad man for that. But yeah, Hot Sauce 101, check his channel out. Mix oil, the still, I think it's the Ultra, the orange bottle. I even run that in motorcycles when I had them. It just works better. It has not preservatives, but it prevents the fuel from going bad. So I picked up saws that have been sitting for 10 years, and the fuel wasn't bad per se, because like you'll get shellacked and weird and gross and nasty and all kinds of fun stuff. And it evaporated out, so it was like instead of being 50-1, it was like 5-1. So you clean it out, and it's just fine. Get all that oil out of there and put some fresh gas in. It runs good. Any piece of new equipment? Man, a piece of new equipment for me. Besides chainsaws, probably. Oh, that's a tough one. Probably like a 200 size excavator. Yeah, or a new log truck. Probably the excavator, because that would make life a lot easier for a lot of things. The 120 is fine and all, and it's paid for, and it does a good job, but a 200 gets shit done. All right, amateur logger. How do you stay motivated to get up every day and be productive? You ever feel like, well, I got bills to pay. I got a wifey and a dog to feed, and I have goals. This is kind of a crappy house. I don't intend to stay here forever. I never intended to stay here as long as we have, but the economy. Do you ever feel like you've gotten enough done, or does it always seem like the drop in the bucket? Depending on the job, sometimes you get to a job that's just huge, and I'm one guy, and you just got to pick away at it. You don't pay attention when you're working. You just do whatever's in front of you and get it done. You make a plan, but at the end of the day, you look back and like, man, I made a big hole. Especially like if you get into a job where it's like, say, 5, 10, 20 acres of thick timber, and where do I start? Oh, well, you start wherever's easy. You start making a hole, and then at the end of the day, like, well, now it's easy. So you just keep picking at it, and then it goes away eventually. Do you think you would be? How do you think I'd fare cutting timber on the East Coast? I think I'd piss a lot of people off. A lot of East Coast guys seem to think that long bars and whatnot are no good in hardwood. I've cut oak, I've cut maple, I've cut everything here. A lot of hardwood, a lot of just cut Doug fir here. And Doug fir is probably as hard as most maples, at least half of them. Maybe not rock hard maple. Whatever. Big leaf maples are about the same here, but big leaf maple is interchangeable with rock maple for guitar building. Ask Gibson. Where do you think all the figure wood comes from? It's not that big a deal. Green hardwoods, pretty soft. Yeah, old dry oak, pretty hard stuff. Some of Australian stuff's crazy, but the East Coast, they ah, their log lengths are goofy, but they make sense because you're cutting wood that has big limbs and it's not real straight. So you want to cut shorter logs so that they fit on the damn truck because big crooked hardwood log, it makes them hard to stack. So they cut them, 8s, 10s, 12s, whatever, and which is fine. But I would piss a lot of people off on how I cut timber. Just read the comments. They hate me. I love it. Uh, I don't care about low stumps so much as they do on the East Coast. I think it's a lot of wasted time. The root flare doesn't cutting that off anyways. Anyhow, is it possible to make a good living and find vocational fulfillment working as an employee? No. Or do you have to be self-employed? Short answer, you will never get rich working for someone else. Somebody told me that a long time ago. I didn't listen until I was 30. You will never get rich working for somebody else. Yeah. If you're totally okay with just punching the clock every day until your knuckles bleed, that's fine. You do your thing, punch the clock, go home, have a beer, whatever, do your deal, have your hobbies. Aspire to your hobbies, but you'll never get rich. And you'll always put up with some other dickhead above you. Being self-employed isn't cut out for everybody either, though. So, how many hours a day do you? Oh, it's J&A T. Okay. How many hours a day do you typically run a saw, and how many years do you get from a new saw under those conditions? If I'm working for myself, it's about 4 hours, generally. Because I'll cut timber, lemon buckets I go, and then spend the rest of the day dragging the shit out of the woods and stacking it up. So I don't really get a whole lot of time on the saw. So I get 5-6 years out of the saw like that. Now, if I'm working for another outfit where I'm just timber falling, which I do sometimes do, it can be usually 6 to 8 hours. Which, if you're going to be doing that, 6 hours is a lot of work because you still got to go home and maintain the saws. You got to sharpen chains. You got to catch up. Which reminds me, I have a whole pile of chains I have to sharpen before tomorrow. It's dark now. Anyhow, but they'll want you to keep pushing because they're sitting next to you. You're just looking on control. We're working hard. No, you're not. I know better. So they, you end up being 6-8 hours. Anything over 6 hours, it stops becoming a day rate thing. It starts being hourly. So day rate for me is $400. It buys you 6 hours. Me, a saw or two, my own gas, my own insurance. I limit my buck, or I'll just dump them, whatever you want to do. But 6 hours. After that, price starts going up, and it goes up quickly because. Yeah, I'm a fat ass, but you know what? 6 hours is a long time times on a saw. 8 hours is ridiculous. Under those conditions, the guys I know that do it full time get a year or two. They'll buy a new saw, run it for a year, and then after 6 months to a year, then they'll buy another new saw. The old saw becomes its backup, and then they switch them out. So the saws are still good, but yeah. Jared Haas. Now, I've logged for Jared several times, in fact. Why is there a D in fridge but not refrigerator? Well, would you put your food in a refrigerator? Also, it's I had to look this one up. It's because Puritans, because frig is dirty. You don't want to frig somebody. And English is a terrible language because spelling is goofy. Blame the Normans or the Saxons, the Germans. It was the Germans. Daniel Miller. How hard is it to rewind? How hard is it to stay busy as a modern day Jippo? I gotta fight him off with a stick. If you answer your phone, you'll always have work. At least around here. I don't know about other areas, but there's a lot of trees out there, and they're worth a lot of money within reason. So and they're dangerous. So a lot of my work ends up being danger trees. Wind blows and people get Jesus. I just burped randomly. You guys may have noticed that. The wind blows, people get paranoid, and then they call me or half a dozen other guys in the town, and we cut them all down, take them to the mill. So Mad Hat, who I have met in person and have dealt with regularly on a site called Arborist site, which I suggest you check out. As you're not let the thing go to your head, right? Maybe. So you may have noticed all the guitars and stuff here that you can't see right now, but I was almost famous once, and it was fucking weird. Jason Molly? Molly? I don't know. Anyways, can I come work for you? No. Or do you want to come work with me? Probably not. Anyways, always great vids, blah, blah, blah. I'm a jerk. I spent years as a machinist being the lead manager, supervisor, guy who had to fix everything when you broke it. Now that I own my own shop, basically my own outfit, I don't take people screwing things up kindly. So it's a big reason I work alone. Although, if you want to come play, when you're out here, get a hold of me somehow. We'll go play. Brian Mehi? Brian. Have you ever run into wild animals while you're out on the job site? And do you think loggers going into deep wood situation should bring a shotgun with them or a 44 Magnum? Yes and no. Short answer. I've ran into bears, deer all the damn time. Deer are so stupid. I was just picking up a log, put it on the truck, and a deer walked in between me and the log. They're dumb. They're really dumb. Bears, we got black bears out here, and they're not even very big. They don't mind you. You don't mind them. They do what they're going to do, and you go your separate ways. We have cougars out here. I may have seen one once in the 30 years I've lived around here. We do occasionally get wolves coming over from the east side. It's pretty damn rare. And, you know, they'll tell you it didn't happen. They'll tell you a lot of things didn't happen in the woods, but I've seen some weird shit. Anyhow, the wild animals don't bother me at all. I make a lot of noise. Bears don't tend to fuck around on a logging site. Ain't nothing there for them to mess with. And they know deer are just curious. Stupid and curious. I have had squirrels throw pine cones at me, though. I was cutting down their house. Anyhow, that happens actually more than once. As far as carrying a firearm in the woods, I don't think you need one. Not if you're logging. Not if you're in the woods. If you're hiking around here, carry a goddamn gun. And it ain't the animals that's the problem. A lot of hikers go missing up here, and it ain't because they got lost. I've had more problems with other people in the woods than anything. I've been shot at multiple times. Usually a drunk idiot that, yeah. I've had people pull guns on me because I was riding my bicycle down a dirt road, not a driveway, a dirt road. Uh, it is a wild. This is very much the Wild West out here, uh, and it has a lot to do with mental illness. People get paranoid and crotchety. There's a lot of grow labs and meth labs that are out in the woods, and people are weird about that kind of thing. And not to mention, this is the serial killer capital of the world. Yay! So if you're hiking, at least carry some bear spray and be prepared to use it on people. That said, 99% of the people you meet in the woods around here are great. A lot of granola crunchers and hippies that love the trees, but they hate my guts. But they're pretty nice usually. Most of the hillbillies you find out here are pretty skookum too. It's just those few random weirdos that you got to worry about. As far as caliber, I think shotguns are useless. That is my personal opinion. I think they're good for bird hunting, and that's just about it. And even then, I'm not a bird hunter. I'm not really a hunter, really. As far as firearms, I tend to stay out of politics, but I like guns. As for a 44 Magnum, as far as if you're gonna carry a pistol, carry something you can handle. I think a 44 Magnum's it's neat. Do I own one? No. Would I own one? Probably not. 357. We'll take anything on this continent, and most things in Europe too. So the 44 is kind of overkill. That includes, Alaskan Kodiak Bear. 357 Magnum is a damn fine round. Plus you can get a little snub nose revolver that fits in your pocket, doesn't get in the way, and you can use it. You can hike and nobody gets fucking scared because you're walking around all, not Clint Eastwood, but John Wayne, and gonna stick up your ass. Yeah. I try to avoid politics. Oh, yeah, I did that one twice. What a dick. Anyhow, I think that's it. So, really, yeah, apparently I did this one. That was twice. I'm not going to answer it twice. If you're out there thinking about starting your own business, do it. Yesterday. It's easy. Like I said before, somebody told me you'll never get rich working for somebody else. And that's the fucking truth. I'm not rich by any means, but I'm also lazy. But I can say the last year, including the 6 weeks to 2 months that the log truck was down and I was busy working on it more than anything, and we grossed better than double what I made as a machinist ever. And I got paid pretty good for that. So I work when I want. I can say no to jobs I don't want to do. Getting started in a business is, at least here in Washington, is easy. You need you see the sign, licensed, bonded, and insured license. It's a business license. It's $25 freaking dollars. It's cheap. I think every other state's about the same. If you want to do the LLC thing, do the LLC thing to begin with, so you don't have to. It takes a little more. I think it's $300 to do an LLC, and you gotta file a bunch of tax stuff. And then, as far as a bond, you need a bond if you're an LLC because that's how it works. You don't need a bond if you're just owner operator doing business as. You don't need a bond. Bond is useless. I mean, really, unless you're hiring other contractors, the bond is useless. Uh, unless you're paying somebody to do something, you don't need a bond. You do need a bond if you're working for the government, though. So there's that. Insurance is cheap for logging. Even the trucking insurance isn't that bad. I think it's $2 million gross combined for the trucks, and it's like $2 grand a year. And I've been in an accident. The logging insurance, I think it's another $2 million insurance, and it's under, God, it's like 1,500 a year for liability. It's cheap. It's 3 loads of logs. You do that in 2 weeks, working 4 hours a day. Same thing if you're going to start an excavation company. The machines are cheap, the insurance is cheap. Go do it. Pay attention to your bills, save your receipts, and keep a track of what you're spending your money on, and you'll do okay. Um, I've seen a lot of guys start businesses in the last 10 years. Most of them are still doing it, and at least half of them are dumber than a box of rocks. They figured it out. Anyhow, um, we're well over 30 minutes now, but I'm going to start a new channel here pretty soon for my band. If you're stuck around this long, called the Brush Apes. Hopefully, we'll have a record to release here pretty soon. In the meantime, I'll make a link for that when that's ready, and we will talk to you guys later. Have a day.